guess you would say that. Would you say that? Man! Brandon, you don't got that chicken done tonight. You done cooking you some chicken, huh? Ghetto Chef Boyardee with the capital D in the kitchen making whatever the fuck they say. I tell you, man, I love this shit, this environment when you got, you feel peaceful, you feel it, content with your life and you ain't got no worries. You know, I sit back and man, I'm watching these folks around the world lose their mind, crying and boo-hooing about a motherfucker that might well have been the Klan. I mean, I'm watching these black folks out here talking, oh, poor Charlie Kirkland. Poor Charlie Kirkland. Why did somebody do this to Charlie Kirkland? Man, come on, man. If you out there spreading hate into the world, eventually somebody gonna share their hate with you. You know what I mean? For every person that hates someone, and someone is gonna hate them. And people that run around in the world and talk shit about people that they don't even know and tell them the way they live in their life is wrong and God should banish them and this and that and all that nonsense, then eventually you're going to find out the hard way and somebody's going to send you to see your maker mind. Because I sit back and I watch the news and now all these articles, these folks around the whole United States in big, small cities, these folks are literally out here having memorial services and what you would call worship services from a person that was a hate monger, man. This man talked bad about every race but white folks. This individual never tried to shed the lights on the problem that everybody knows that goes on in every community, white, black, or blue, man. And it seems like to me that the more hate you spill into the world, the more people will listen to you. The more hate, because there's so many people in this world that's filled with so much anger, and then other people find out that they got somebody that they talk the way they talk and they talking the way they feel. That's why great motherfuckers in life, you ain't gonna never like these folks like Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights activists that marched in the streets against real civil rights problems for all people of all colors. Them folks had to fight to get them folks streets named after them, had to fight for them folks to get a name in history. But you got a motherfucker that was out there spreading hate and acting like the Klan. These folks got him on every billboard across the United States and motherfuckers crying about a motherfucker they never met, I never seen in person, man. And then people try to tell me, well, you didn't read, you didn't look at he was just pointing out the fact that black people, man, look, man. Black people have suffered way longer than any other fucking race besides Jewish people. Black people have been chosen to be the footstool of every motherfucker butt of every game and every joke of every person in life, man. But it's one thing that every race has started to do. They show their true colors. You got successful black people. You got successful white people. You got successful people in all ethnic backgrounds, but you got some people that know that there are some ignorant people in this world that wants to hear nothing but hateful views towards other people. And they be like, yeah, buddy. But them folks never expect for someone to take their life to be the same color as them, man. Charlie Kirk would never fathom in his mind that he would be took up off his earth by a white man. Never thought that in his mind. You can believe his security detail was instructed to watch all the black individuals in the audience, and they took their motherfucking eye off the white folks. And them motherfuckers is the one that knocked them off, man. That's what people don't understand about history, man. Look, I tell you this, most of the people that's been so-called assassinated, or attempted to be assassinated, like presidents, like Ronald Reagan. He was somebody tried to assassinate him. It was a white man. The motherfucker that shot JFK, white man. The motherfucker that shot Dr. Martin Luther King, white man. You know, so sometimes you gotta point the motherfucking facts out, and Charlie Kirkland didn't point out all the facts. He just wanted to go with the narrative and say, well, all black children that are born evil. That's a motherfucking lie, man. That's a lie. Now, there's some motherfuckers in this world that are born to be pieces of shit, and ain't nobody gonna be able to change it. But I think it's in all races, man, not just one. You know, because the races that we have, the generation that's running around in the world as we speak right now, ages from 10 to 15 years old, are doing more things than I ever done in my motherfucking life in 46 years of being on this earth. These young individuals is 10, 11 years old, are walking around out here in the streets with ski masks on, and their intentions is to hurt as many people as they can by robbing, stealing, and killing. But then when they bump into the motherfucker that ain't gonna just give them nothing but send them to see the God, people want to say that person's wrong. People want to say, well, it's just materialistic things. You don't have to shoot them folks about your car. You don't have to, man, anything that you work hard for, grind for, you have the right to protect that shit, man. Why the fuck should I have to go through all the problems that somebody else brings to my doorstep, man? Why should I have to go through that? You know, but when I sit back and I think about all the great individuals in this world, white, black, cause you got JFK. JFK was a president that was pushing for civil rights right beside Martin Luther King, and them white folk didn't want him to live no more, so they knocked that man off, man. And they still ain't solved that motherfucking case or brought nobody to justice for knocking him off. But then another great individual was Martin Luther King, and he pushed nothing but peace, even though he was seen on video with them folks sicking dogs on him, beating him with sticks, and he still was pushing peace. But when you look at history, people don't want the world to know about the peaceful people, but they willing to, now that we have the internet, they call these folks influencers because they influence the mind of simple-minded people. People that's already looking for somebody to blame for why their life ain't doing good. Now you want to say that this race right here is taking your jobs. How is someone taking a job that you qualified for if you go in there and put up a motherfucking position where you know that you are qualified, but you might be willing to take a little bit less to show that you are the one that they're looking for? A lot of people sit back right now and think that their job wouldn't be able to function without them coming in and work tomorrow. But what people don't realize is that jobs are becoming obsolete when it becomes human being access, because they got AI technology that mimics all your movements in these warehouses as you pushing them buttons, and they know that every day that you push this certain button right here on these certain orders and these certain numbers in. So now when you don't come to work, guess what? AI can take over and do the job that you was done doing. So then you got to think that it's so many people that go to work and go in these factories and go into jobs and work 30, 40 years in these jobs, they end up with what you would call job-related injuries, like carpal tunnel syndrome, back problems, and they end up suing these these companies in the end of, when they're getting ready to retire, are they forced to retire? So now these corporations, these big corporations, are coming up with a way that they can run their factories just like Amazon without human technology, without humans having to be put in danger. That's just like when you got these armies. Now these folks are making robot soldiers to send out there in the battlefields to go to war with other robot soldiers in other countries, and they say, well, we saving lives. But you got some people that's mad because they feel like that since they grandmama, or they granddaddy and great great granddaddy and great great granddaddy was a soldier and served in the military, they feel like it's their destiny to go out there and fight for the country of the United States until they're either dead or they retire. So they feel like that people are, they say, well, why are people willing to let technology replace human beings? When you sitting around and you think about the financial gain, and that's what it's about. If you run a company, you running it to make a profit. You're not running it to break even. You coming up with a product that makes life more easier and safer for human beings. That's why these folks have came out with these self-propelled cars that's like Uber drivers, because then it gets the situation of where you can't say that you was picked up by a car and the car sexually assaulted you, but you can say that a motherfucker picked you up in an Uber downtown and you was a little too drunk and you got home and felt your booty hole and that motherfucker wasn't tight no more. Yeah, you can say that. So what people are trying to do is corporations, they're trying to figure out a way to eliminate being put into lawsuits and their companies put in jeopardy of losing money because people think that they irreplaceable. But if you come up with the right technology, like a lot of these companies like Ford and car manufacturing companies, most of them companies that used to where human beings used to have to grab the doors, walk them down the assembly lines to the next individual, and that individual take them and weld them to the car. Now they get two robotic arms, and that robotic arm moving one down and the other one spraying that motherfucker, and at the same time that motherfucker bolting that motherfucker to the car. That eliminated three motherfucking jobs, but that also eliminated three motherfuckers with the potential to sue that company for all the pain that they accumulated over a long period of time from working at this job.